Hello, citizens of the internet. I am Montgomery.
And I'm Eric.
And we'll be your narrators today.
So, welcome to Item Stats.
And we're going to be talking about the impact of video games on culture.
And the culture of video games.
Video games have been around for over 40 years, with the first home console coming out in 1972. From arcades to Xbox, 8-bit to HD, Pac-Man to Master Chief, video games have evolved in many ways and influenced pop culture in a huge way. From then to now, video games have matured from being simple children's toys.
Now they are able to tell complex narrative stories, like a book or a movie.
So sit down and relax through this educational adventure.
People argue over what the point of a video game is, over if they're for a story or for the gameplay, and even argue over the frame rate and graphics. But put simply, video games are a media for entertainment, and different people find certain things for fun about video games.
Most people use video games as an escape from reality and a time to relax and unwind, forgetting about their troubles and just having fun for a few hours. A fact that should be brought up is that a study has recently been done that shows most people who play video games for escapism deal with chronic loneliness. So they play because it helps them feel involved and a part of something as well as being entertaining for them. Now, personally, the thing I find most fun about video games is enjoying the story.
Oh yeah, that is interesting, Montgomery. You know that stories in video games have grown with technology. For example, back in 1994, Final Fantasy III, or in Japan, it's called Final Fantasy VI, came out on the SNES. It was considered a new standard for storytelling in gaming. It was the first time you truly saw what happened to characters instead of just reading about them. It really made you care for them instead of just wanting to get them to the next gameplay segment. And even with Final Fantasy VII, the standard was raised once again by the same franchise with the use of 3D models.
One shining example of great narrative in video games is by the company BioWare, which is known for making great narrative experience with amazing dialogue trees. The game KOTOR gave a more mature look at the Star Wars franchise, and covered such lovely themes as betrayal, affairs, and child abuse. Yes, Eric, everybody's favorite, child abuse. This was shocking coming from a Star Wars game with a T rating. For crying out loud, I was only 12 when I first played this game, and it impacted me so much, in a good way, mind you. The characters and the plot just stuck with me, and I would even say it's my favorite game of all time. Something that is great about this game, and I'm throwing up a spoiler warning for this, everything the bad guys have done is because of a Sith Lord named Revan, who is believed to be killed at the beginning of the game, and actually turns out to be you, the main character, with amnesia. This was impossible to see coming, but was executed so well it just made sense.
Many other games with great narratives, for example, are The Last of Us with its new twist on the zombie apocalypse, Lost Odyssey that dealt with an immortal losing everything he has ever come to care for in his eternal life, and how could I forget BioShock? Or maybe it's a parallel universe where BioShock doesn't exist. Get it? 'Cause BioShock deals with different realities come together and ruin the fabric of time? Oh, never mind, this joke was a lost cause.
I love that game.
No, it's Just Cause. Or who could forget the original retelling of the story Journey to the West in the game Enslaved: Odyssey to the West.
Video games are the most interactive storytelling devices, and are only getting more and more intriguing and reliant on player choice to impact the story due to advancements in technologies in the past 10 years. What was your first exposure to video games?
Honestly, couldn't tell you because it seems more of a subconscious thing because it was so long ago.
Why do you play video games?
Because they're more of a getaway for me from normal life, I guess. I get to do something that I couldn't do normally.
What is your favorite video game and why?
My favorite video game is probably Halo, just because I've been playing it basically since it started, and that was when I was pretty little. And so it's just kind of been a childhood memory and lived on through my now present time.
Do you think video games will ever be considered a media for everyone, like books or movies?
Honestly, don't know. I guess I feel like it could eventually if it ever evolved to that point, but right now I don't think it really is.
What is your favorite memory from a video game?
Probably when Spider-Man in the video game Spider-Man Webs of Shadows. It's probably when in the beginning when the symbiote takes over Spider-Man's outer costume, because I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and two, it was just a pretty good scene, and it was my first video game that I'd really gotten.
What is the worst video game that you have ever played?
Any Call of Duty. Just the whole franchise isn't good. Except for I do like World War, so.
Who is your favorite character or characters from a video game?
Probably Alex Mercer from the first Prototype. It's gonna sound dark, but I really like he has no memory throughout the game, and so this kind of picking up on what his past was like, and how it kind of turned dark throughout the game is pretty cool.
What do you associate video games with?
More just like a social thing, say this is what it's been, because I usually haven't played video games much unless I'm with another friend online or something.
What is a story without characters? They're like glue for narration. And any great story has memorable characters. For example, who could forget Jules Winfield and Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction, Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, or Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, and last but not least, Oh, I'm sorry, I can't say that seriously.
But I love Hayden Christensen. Anyways, there are many memorable characters from the story-driven games, and due to the interactivity of video games, the characters have long, well-written, drawn-out character development for the most part.
One example is the Master Chief, and his relationship with the AI Cortana. While these characters are friends to start, their relationship is pretty stale at first, but this was due to budgeting. And the fact that you can tell there is some chemistry between them is impressive. Then going all the way to the latest installment in the franchise, Halo 4, the characters are back and their friendship has turned into more. While a man falling in love with a computer is normally strange, it is written and acted out so perfectly that you overlook this taboo, and the fact that she is a naked, hot, blue lady in her hologram form helps us understand his attraction for her.
Another franchise that should be mentioned is Mass Effect. It's filled to the brim with great and memorable characters. Something else must be mentioned is that John is the most used video game protagonist name. Just ask John Shepard, John Chaser, John Blade, John Sierra, and John Marston, for example.
Let's just end this segment by mentioning a few notable characters who we didn't have time to go into.
John Shepard for being awesome.
Garrus Vakarian for also being awesome.
You ever miss those talks we had on the elevators?
No.
Come on, remember how we'd all ask you about life on the flotilla? It was an opportunity to share.
This conversation is over.
Tell me again about your immune system.
I have a shotgun.
Maybe we'll talk later.
HK-47 for hating almost every living creature.
Retraction. Did I say that out loud? I apologize, Master. While you are a meatbag, I suppose I should not call you such.
Karth Onasi for being the only level-headed character in that game.
I got the revenge I always wanted when Saul died, but it hasn't brought me the peace that I thought it would. All I can think of now is the promise that I made to protect you from what's going to come. It's given me a reason to look past simple revenge. Despite whatever part of Revan is inside you, the darkness that must surely be there, it isn't who you are. That's why I can't hate you, why I don't want any more revenge. You don't have to be Revan. You can be so much more.
Nathan Drake for being a freaking ripoff of Indiana Jones.
Okay, you just jump, count to 5, just pull the cord. How hard could that be? Oh, crap!
And BJ Blazkowicz for killing Nazis.
I would Never needed to use. Fine. I will gut you standing.
Alas, there are too many of you to speak of. What was your first exposure to video games?
Well, my first exposure that I can think of is when I was about, well, let's say I think I was 5 at the time, and I was playing a Mario game. The most recent one I can remember is, I think it was a Luigi Mansion, I think, on the GameCube. I feel like I played games before that, but that's the most recent one I can remember on top of my head.
For what reason do you play video games?
I use it more as a, well, they're fun, obviously, but they're also kind of like an escape for the real world. There's just a lot to worry about in this world, and I feel like playing games kind of lessens that worry in a way. It just feels like it makes life a little bit easier in a sense.
What is your favorite video game and why is it?
Probably my most favorite. Well, that's hard. I'd say probably my favorite for a long time was the Halo series, just in general. Overall, Halo 3, just because it was a classic. But the reason why Halo in general was because it was something I remember. It was what my dad brought home a while back. I remember when my dad and my uncle, they brought it home. They got Xbox, and they also had they got Halo. It's one, I think their very first game actually for the Xbox. And I just remember watching them play all the time. And well, eventually my dad, as a joke, gave me the controller, and well, eventually that backfired them a little bit when they were playing against each other in in PvP. So.
Yeah. Do you think video games will ever be considered a media for everyone, like books and movies?
I feel like it will probably eventually. I feel like it kind of is already in a sense because, well, video games is more well known than they were 5 or 10 years ago, just through the social media on the internet Twitch and YouTube. That alone, honestly, made video games a lot I'm not sure on that number, but just a lot more well known than previously.
What is your favorite memory from a video game?
My favorite memory, I'd probably say, is from. That's a good question. I think it was. I remember now. It's probably beating. Just it was beating a game on the GameCube called Metroid Prime. For the first time, 100%. That's actually quite recent. I did that a few months ago, but it's a very good memory of me having it. So.
What is the worst video game you have ever played?
Worst game I played probably is Sonic the Hedgehog. Not the old version, it's the Xbox 360 version, otherwise known as Sonic 06. But the worst game I have seen is a game on Steam. It's called Air Control. Honestly, that's that game was meant to be bad, but still, it's horrible.
What do you associate gaming with?
A multitude of things. Probably one of them is good reflex practice. I guess some games require extensive button pressing or timing to press a button at a certain time to accomplish something, and also some games even just good storytelling in general.
Most people know what video games are.
They have impacted culture in many ways.
Whether it is in just a simple joke, pop culture icons, music, appearances in movies,
or even having books, comics, movies, and television shows made after them. Video games have just become iconic.
And you can't say they aren't. Go ahead, tell me one person who hasn't heard of the Master Chief, or Mario, or Sonic, or Pac-Man, or Jake of the 99... Oh... Never mind, that game was really bad. I mean really bad. That's why you've never heard of it.
The point is, anyone in today's internet age knows something about video games, and they are now ingrained into geek culture.
It is rare to hear of somebody who claims the great and mighty title of geek or nerd, and they don't play video games. Just kidding. Get it? This segment is about video games endings. That wasn't funny, Eric. Why'd you write that in?
Wait, you wrote the script.
Shut up, Eric. I don't want to hear it. Shut it! So I should just start off by saying most video games are made to have sequels. So there are many, many, many cliffhangers at the end of 72-hour games. And they just leave you wanting more.
There are satisfying endings. Mass Effect, for example, that left room for a sequel, but also ties up the loose end. Or Star Wars Knight of the Old Republic, with its ending that ties up all loose ends, and it's just satisfying.
And then there are the bad endings, ones that leave you just utterly disappointed. Such as Mass Effect 3 with its multitude of unanswered questions and confusing plot twists, or Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, which suffers from the same issue. Point is, a good story will always make you think and ponder on the meaning and message conveyed throughout when it ends.
And just like books and movies, this varies from game to game in any franchise of any genre.
Why do you play video games?
Mostly just because I enjoy different forms of gameplay and it's really entertaining and the stories are good.
What is your favorite video game and why?
I would have to say my favorite video game is Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning, mostly just because it's a really big universe with several different things happening, and there's a whole bunch of different side quests that you can do, and it's just a nice feeling of freedom.
Who is your favorite character or characters in a video game and why?
I would have to say Dagran and Zale from The Last Story, probably because their character designs are really good. They're really hot. And the personalities are really well developed. I really like that game.
We all make choices, but in the end, our choices make us. Ken Levine. This quote is by the creative director of the BioShock franchise, and this is also one of the many themes present throughout the games. Now this is strange because you don't truly have choices throughout the game franchise. This game franchise also raises a question of what is morally right and wrong, and if doing the right thing at a certain time is truly the best thing. At the same time, it deals with the ideas of there never being a perfect society, and if racism is justifiable, and reality just being perception. Another great game franchise to talk about is Mass Effect. Many themes throughout the games are present and done well. Like one theme in particular is if the honorable thing is the right thing to do. What equal rights even means, what is after death, morality and the extinction of life itself, and the question of evolution and human frailty, as well as the frequently asked question, what does it mean to be human, and can a computer truly be alive? This franchise is truly a plethora of themes and messages.
Or we can talk about Dead Space, which has a theme which attacks the ideology of Scientology and questions how far should religious and philosophical freedom be allowed, which is just a touchy subject and quite daring for a video game to explore.
In a society where media is now mainly shoot-'em-up action films and light-hearted romantic comedies, along with dystopian teen novels, stories like this are a good break from the normal media we have today. What was your first exposure to video games?
I think it was probably when I was 5. My cousins had a 64, and I'd always go over and we'd play Donkey Kong and Mario.
Why do you play video games?
I like playing video games because it kind of... There's lots of different variations. Also, like it's been pointed out, good storylines. And also just some video games can be really just exciting and intense.
What is your favorite video game and why?
My favorite video game would probably be Super Smash Bros. I like the variations of characters and also using different items and beating other characters up.
Music can make a player of a video game be enthralled in the universe and fiction made by the developers. Whether it is classical, orchestral, techno, rock, or hip-hop music, it can make or break someone's immersion.
Instead of just telling you about these great performances, I think it would be better to show you some amazing acting.
Marker?
Man, that was close. Thanks for the heroics and all. Ellie. Hey, what are you... Joel?
Bill!
What are you doing?
Bill!
Oh my God.
Turn around and get on your knees.
Just calm down a second.
Turn around
All right.
and get on your knees. Don't test me. Just
take it easy.
You got any bites?
No.
Anything sprouting?
Oh, God damn it, I'm clean!
If I see so much as a twig.
Cameras. T-pose for me, gentlemen, and marker.
Marker.
Floor's yours.
Thank you. And action.
You did bring the map, right?
I thought you brought the map.
Oh, for Christ.
I'm just kidding. I got it. Yeah, we should be close, too. Oh, what the hell is this?
Uh-huh.
Don't. We're going by foot from here.
Jesus.
What?
Leave it to you to find a friggin' jungle in the middle of France.
Downloadable content is quite the controversy in gaming culture today. DLC is normally digital content for a game that most usually the player pays actual money for to add content to the game, whether it's cosmetics for the character, extra weapons, more missions or quests, map packs, and sometimes even are separate games entirely.
This is a great idea, but companies are greedy, so they will overprice these a lot, and many game publishers take content off the disc just so you will pay an extra $10 for a game you already paid $60 for. And even few months later, they will fork out $20 DLC for a year that if you don't buy, you'll miss out on major parts of the game. The biggest offending companies of this are EA, Capcom, and Konami. EA will take content off of a disc and not allow the development team to finish the game until after it's released, and then will sell the rest of the game and have it ridiculously overpriced.
Now Capcom, this company has a bad name already. They try to sue anyone who talks down on their business practices and keeps releasing Street Fighter 4 for $60 and add only 1 or 2 characters each time, and it's considered DLC.
And Konami, you are like an old man who has outlived his glory days. What happened to you? This company makes very few good games anymore, so they'll try to trick people into thinking that they're buying 48-hour-long games for $40, and it turns out to be less than 3 hours long.
Please, do not get us wrong, DLC is amazing. It adds so much and allows developers to make better games, but that does not justify ripping their customers off, who are the whole reason they're even successful.
Imagine not having to pay a cent for a game and it actually being enjoyable. That's the idea behind FTP games.
This is a good for small developers who can't make a retail release and saves consumers money. But like with everything else there's a downside. In order to make more money, publishers will penalize players who don't pay and usually have the best items only unlockable to pay-to-play players.
While I understand this is necessary so developers do not go broke, it is an annoyance, and many free-to-play games have balanced this out quite nicely. For example, and I suggest if you play video games to get these games, because they're completely free, Star Wars The Old Republic, Warframe, Loadout, Robocraft, and Team Fortress 2. You don't have to pay a cent for any of those games, and they are evenly balanced and ridiculously fun to play. What was your first exposure to video games?
My first exposure? Probably like when I was 7 years old, playing Spyro Year of the Dragon on PlayStation, actually. I don't know, I thought it was a fun game when I was little. All the quirky little cartoony kind of look to it, you know.
Why do you play video games?
The reason why I play video games is that, like, sometimes when I'm, like, down, I just play video games just to bring my spirits back up and, yeah, basically, so I don't be real sad or I'm just bored.
What is your favorite video game and why is it?
My favorite video game? Let's see. Oh man, I have a lot to choose from. But the one I have to choose is probably DayZ, the DayZ mod for Arma 2, which I'm a big fan of first-person shooters and the survival aspects to it. Like, well, there's like a whole bunch of stuff you can do in that, like find cans of food or find weapons that you can basically survive in a zombie-infested world. And all the people in there, it's pretty chaotic if you ever been in one of those servers.
Do you think video games will ever be considered a media for everyone like books or movies?
Oh yeah, definitely. A example is probably The Last of Us. All the cinematic parts to it. It's kind of like a movie almost when you watch all the scenes, the cutscenes and all that, and it has a great story to it, and it pretty much made like Game of the Year that year, if I remember right.
What is your favorite memory from a video game?
My favorite memory is probably 100%ing Resident Evil 5, actually. I don't know why I was obsessed with that game for some reason.
Who is your favorite character or characters from a video game and why?
Favorite characters. First of all, probably Chris Redfield on Resident Evil 5. He basically punched a giant freaking boulder, okay, in a volcano, while being attacked by Wesker, which he was under some kind of power of Urbos kind of stuff to it.
What do you associate video games with?
What I associate video games with? Probably the competitiveness of it. Like, right now, like with esports, with Call of Duty, well, I shouldn't say Call of Duty, but Call of Duty, they have competitive gameplay, like with other people, which you can win money with. Even with League of Legends, Dota, and all of that, which could get you a bunch of money for just playing video games.
Now enough about polished games that are well balanced. Let's talk about COD, Call of Duty, MLG Extreme, 360 No Scope, Headshot, Double Kill, Mountain Dew, Doritos, Steroids, 420, Blaze It, bro.
Montgomery, you okay?
No.
Call of Duty has a name that's bred both pride and shame into gamers. Pride for cultural impact it has on pop culture, and shame for being nothing more than a cash cow shooting game with no real story or tactics to its gameplay.
This game franchise used to be a theatrical tale of fictional World War II allies, and gave the Saving Private Ryan feeling to it. Much like Medal of Honor, but where Medal of Honor had you be a special soldier who was unstoppable, and everything relied on you to save the day. But COD broke that, and gave a more realistic look at war by making you just an expendable soldier whose death would not affect the war in the slightest. This was outstanding at the time. COD was originally named Project Medal of Honor Killer, and it did just that. Then Modern Warfare was born and made you a modern soldier in the startings of World War III, and this was considered by many to be the best in the franchise. So Call of Duty made everyone go, what's a Halo for a while, and introduced many to the world of competitive gaming, and some just to gaming in general. But then Modern Warfare 2 came out, and was a slight variation of Modern Warfare. At the same time, did what their old competition had done, Medal of Honor, by making the characters unstoppable soldiers where everything relied on them and them alone.
With many of this franchise's fans saying Modern Warfare 3 was the last good Call of Duty game, it's clear Call of Duty was just a fad and doesn't have many more years left in it. And that, children, is the rise and the fall of Call of Duty.
What was your first exposure to video games?
My first exposure to video games was going to my cousin's house and for the first time in my life playing Super Smash Bros. And ruining every single one of them.
Why do you play video games?
Well, I see video games as not only a great stress reliever, but a reason to get very angry too.
I don't know this answer. He's like, I just like to get angry.
You're like a Hulk incarnate.
What is your favorite video game and why?
My favorite video game would have to be the original Legend of Zelda because not only was it the first, I do believe it was the best.
Do you think video games will ever be considered a media like books or movies are?
Well, considering both odds of it, I'd say yes and no. Because yes, given time, it could become a media, but no, considering that right now, video games are more of a hobby versus a media, I'd say.
What is your favorite memory from a video game?
My favorite memory from a video game was getting a 1080 no-scope on a noob who was consulting me all game.
What is the worst video game that you've ever played?
The worst video game, and I'd say video game series I've ever played, was Call of Duty. Flat out.
Good answer. Who is your favorite character or characters in a video game and why?
My favorite character from Call of Duty, one of my favorite games, is Sergeant Vasquez because I love the orders he gives.
I hate Call of Duty. My favorite character is from the Call of Duty.
I love contradicting. It's funny.
What do you associate video games with?
I generally tend to associate video games with equal parts happiness and equal parts anger.
Call of Duty may have brought multiplayer into the mainstream, but it existed far before that. Most people associate multiplayer with online play, but there is a dying type of gaming called split screen or sofa gaming.
Multiplayer start with cooperative player or one-on-one fighters. They never step into the big, huge battles with many players. This allows players to finally see who was the better gamer and was a great way to end the argument. Or friendship if the other person is crazy.
In the late 90s and early 2000s, internet was not available for a lot of games, so people would connect their systems with a wire and have 4 people per system. Normally, an Xbox, this was called a LAN party and normally consisted of 16 players.
When the internet came to video games, it also introduced gamers to racist,
I'm in the prison like you, because I don't murder people for KFC and Taco Bell.
homophobic,
faggot, dude.
Teenagers,
I'm doing it,
who parents buy M-rated games for them and allow their children to go on the internet and talk to complete strangers. Montgomery, why are those children so mean?
I don't know, Eric, but let's not forget about MLG. MLG has become abundantly popular and has recently been verified as a legitimate sport. It is also one of the only professional sports to have gender equality, and is now featured on ESPN3. What is your favorite video game and why?
My favorite video game is from the Zelda series, Twilight Princess. I like it because it combines a whole bunch of different elements that you usually don't see in video games.
Do you think video games will ever be a media for everyone, such as books or movies?
I believe they already are media, such as books or movies, because they are kind of art. They tell a story in a dramatic fashion.
What is your favorite memory from a video game?
My favorite memory from a video game is, once again, from Zelda Twilight Princess, when one of a very seemingly innocent characters turned around really fast and her face was suddenly evil and she screamed. and being the little kid I was, I cried.
What is the worst video game that you've ever played?
The worst video game in history that I've played is E.T. for Atari. You can look it up. It has 2 on a scale of 100 rating.
Who is your favorite character or characters from a video game, and why?
My favorite characters would probably all be from the Zelda series. My favorite would be Midna from Twilight Princess yet again, because she's extremely confident and snobbish, and then she turns to a little bit less snobbish. And the other one would probably be Link, even though he doesn't ever say anything or have any personality. It's unique.
What do you associate video games with?
I associate video games with their players, and I imagine really, really, really obese men playing video games alone in a dark room in their grandmother's basement, eating Doritos and usually urinating in bottles.
Okay. Over the years, gaming has produced many inside jokes and literally created the meme. If you do not believe me, look it up. The first meme ever was, "Sorry, but your princess is in another castle," from Super Mario Bros. Now, for those who don't know, a meme is an element of culture passed from person to person by non-traditional means, usually using images, and are meant to invoke humor. People will use video game memes without even knowing that they are using them.
As we continue...
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Bloody hell. Why can't this meme just die already?
This very popular meme is from Skyrim, and was said by guards in the game who had very little dialogue, so it would constantly repeat, and became so popular it got put on Family Guy within 2 weeks of it being discovered, then quickly became hated. In the beginning of video games, many game memes were products of bad English.
The biggest meme to come from bad English is the meme, "All your base are belong to us." Enough said about this meme. I mean, just look how it's spelled. Look at it!
The other big internet sensation besides memes is video game related YouTubers. So let's talk about the YouTubes. YouTube was founded in 2005 and exploded in popularity in 2011 thanks to the popularity and recognition of Minecraft rising that year and the release of extremely popular video games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, and Star Wars The Old Republic, being the most viewed videos on YouTube at the time.
As of now, YouTubers that focus on gaming are the most numerous and some of the most popular. In fact, the most subscribed YouTuber is PewDiePie. PewDiePie, also known as Felix Everulf Kusenberg, is from Sweden and started in 2010 and became the fastest growing YouTube channel and became #1 in 2013, where he has stayed and is on his way to become the longest keeper of his title.
LP channels are now oversaturating the YouTube community and have caused quite the controversy on why they are so popular.
Save Sybil. I nearly said Cheryl again. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Now we're supposed to do the DVD. Not tape. VCR. Yeah, tape? Yeah. Where? 302?
Hey. I'm gonna go fix some stuff.
Hello?
We know you need help. That doesn't mean we're gonna
Could you please help me?
No!
Oh no! I can't! Freaking smoker! Francis! 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 Shoot the freaking tongue!
Texting now. Were you choking or what was that sound?
I have no idea.
Before there was YouTube, many people would start their own websites and post videos about video games and made companies out of it. One of the most well-known of these companies is Rooster Teeth, founded in 2003, starting with the web series Machinima Red vs. Blue.
There it is! Hey! A little help out here! On it! Caboose! Toss that
time. Not my fault. Someone put a wall in my way.
Which originally was going to be 6 episodes and is now on its 12th and final season. In fact, Rooster Teeth is producing a full-length film, Laser Team. It is coming out this year and is being released like a mainstream film. Really impressive for a few friends just being stupid playing video games.
It's strange that gaming culture and YouTube grew in popularity in large part due to each other and has been beneficial for both industries, and making them both larger parts in the modern culture.
Your first exposure to video games?
My first exposure to video games was probably my older cousin. He had a Nintendo 64, and I went over to his house and he was playing Smash Brothers, and he had a second controller, and that was when I first learned Rage as well, because he beat me to death in the game. But that was my first real exposure to games and where I actually enjoyed playing them. And I think it was a pretty good experience. First game to go for.
Why do you play video games?
I feel like video games are kind of like, at least for me, like a stress reliever. Like, something's going on and I don't really want to think about it, I can revert to playing a game, and they kind of get out of this real world and go into a fictional world where you're kind of in control of everything.
What is your favorite video game and why?
Favorite video game is probably either Fallout 3 or Skyrim. It's made by the same people. And I think the reason I like them so much is because they give you a lot of freedom to do whatever you want to. You can be the good guy, you can be the bad guy, you can be the in-betweener, you can be the family man, you can be anything. And there's so many things you can do within the game that you get your money's worth out of it.
Do you think video games will ever be considered a media for everyone, like books or movies?
I don't know necessarily for everyone. Like, there's definitely a huge crowd that go for video games, but I feel like, I don't want to say gender, because there's like, usually it's more the guys that play video games, and like adults. Well, that's actually kind of a tough question, because I feel like as we get older, like if you're talking about our generation, I think it's a high possibility that they become a full media where everyone goes for them. But as of now, I don't think so. Like, older people tend to shy away from video games, and while the younger generation is more to embrace a new technology and have fun with it.
What is your favorite memory from a video game?
Not a huge fan of Halo, but probably one of my best memories from a story in a game is Halo Reach, when it's just before the ending where you're basically protecting Master Chief and the ship and letting it get away and sacrificing yourself. And basically just that entire story of watching these Spartans give their lives to save one Spartan. And that was probably one of the like first real touching games I played where I actually cared like legitimately about the characters. And probably the last 30 minutes of that game, it was like a tearjerker because it was just hard to play and you knew what was going to happen.
What is the worst video game that you've ever played?
The worst video game I have ever played. It would probably have to be Destroy All Humans. It was just, at least for me, and this one was on Xbox 360. One on PlayStation 2 when I was younger, I liked it because I was I was young and I thought it was fun. But the one that I played on Xbox 360, for one, it was super buggy. So, like, for me, it was almost unplayable. And I had high expectations for it because I was a fan of the original. And then it just was one awful gag to the next, and I just wasn't a big fan of it.
Who is your favorite character in video games and why?
Favorite character? Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay, favorite character from a video game has to be Trevor Phillips from Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, never have I played a game where I was actually terrified of a character and what he might do next. And He was a comic relief, although he was psycho, and he was just fun to play, fun to watch, but also scary to play and scary to watch. And it was just fun watching him do his shenanigans.
Yeah. What do you associate video games with?
I associate video games with more of like just a time to relax and just like escape for a little bit. There's like a time and place for competitiveness and things like that, but for me, video games have always just been like relaxation. I consider myself like a avid gamer. I like to get all the new stuff and play the new stuff and keep up to date on it. But as for myself, I'm more of a relaxed person whenever I play them and tend to take my time with them and things like that. And they have been a pretty big part in my life since I was young, since I got my first console, and I've just loved it ever since. So it's just a fun entertainment for me.
Video games have impacted culture in more ways than most people care to realize.
And culture changes the ways writers write and tell stories, what comedians joke about, music, fashion, and all impacted by pop culture.
And the biggest way they are affecting culture is storytelling, because they're a unique and interactive way of telling stories, with feature-length films and TV series as well as books spawning from video game franchises.
They are becoming more and more a crucial part in our daily life and pop culture. There is so much to the subject we haven't even touched, like Easter eggs or even console wars.
If we had gone into them, this would be far over an hour long. We'd keep this short and sweet.
I wish we had more time to talk about everything we didn't even attempt to touch. Game genres that could be a documentary series on its own.
But you know, Eric, that's not really the point, is it? People love video games for different reasons. And you know, they've come so far from being coin-operated kids' toys and aren't just about killing or sexualizing women. They are a rich culture that can tell a powerful story and teach an actual valuable lesson, or even make us laugh and spend time together. Video games are about what they provide for people, not any one single thing, but instead about whatever you or someone who plays video games gets out of the game.
Thank you for joining us today at this look at video game culture.
This has been a real journey creating this for us, because it made us look at why we even play video games and what they really provide for us.
So share this video with any gamer or anybody that's interested in gaming.
And if you like this dude, why don't you like and subscribe to his channel? You should do it, he's pretty cool.
So hit that like button, post a comment, or even click the subscribe button up here or on this guy's face. Boop.
Good vibes is the only thing we giving off. Oh, you say that you feeling it. Haters didn't get the invite, huh? But I bet that they hearing this, making noise off the Richter. Kodak lifestyle, you better take a picture. Magazine centerfolds, now I'm thinking bigger. Fuck the average Joe, boy, you know I'm trying to differ. And so far I think I'm doing it. Anything is possible, and boy, I think I'm proving it. People looking up to me, I'm really kinda new to this. Yeah, they looking up to me, I'm really kinda new to this. I got their hands to the ceiling. Boy, it's indescribable, I can't explain this feeling. My life's so appealing, cause boy, I'm living for right now. All you people wearing suits better pipe down. Rest. If I found a way